All right, folks, South Carolina Senator Tim Scott is calling out liberals for criticizing his endorsement of Donald Trump. He sat down with Fox News, and Scott had the audacity to spread lies and misinformation by saying Trump did more for minorities than President Joe Biden. Ready for the lies? Let's go.
Were you expecting this?
I was
this
not,
kind of treatment?
I was not, but here's what I do expect.
Oh, I was expecting it.
I expect the left to lose their minds because Donald Trump did more for minorities than Joe Biden will ever do. Think about the fact that Donald Trump put more money in historically black colleges and universities than any other president. How
about wages and small business?
Stop right there. See, okay, all right. Now look, we have absolutely proven that that's a lie. Dr. Walter Kimbrough, two-time HBCU president, has worked at others, has consistently shown that to be a flat-out lie. He has literally laid out that Donald Trump, in the budget that he presented, zeroed out a specific program that was created under President George W. Bush, that was extended under President Obama, that expired. It was a program amounting to about $220 million for Hispanic serving in black and HBCU institutions. Y'all heard what I just said? $220 million. Congresswoman Alma Adams, working with Congressman Bobby Scott of Virginia, she's from North Carolina, put it back in the budget, fought for it, got it passed in the House. Then it was held up by Senator Lamar Alexander of Tennessee in the Senate, where Trump came in with the HBCU presidents, had HBCU week. Several of them mentioned the program. He took it as, oh, I'm gonna make permanent funding for HBCUs. Y'all, the total amount for that program is $220 million for HBCU and Hispanic serving institutions. Those are facts. Senator Tim Scott, right there, is lying. And if he wants South Carolinians to show him proof, go to South Carolina State, go to Claflin, and they'll tell you, yeah, that's not quite true, Timmy. Press play.
The bottom 20% wage growth was higher than the top 20%. The lowest unemployment rate in the history of the country came first under Donald Trump. You think about rare blood diseases like sickle cell anemia. Who helped champion that cause with me? Donald Trump. Think about the greatest anti-poverty program in the history of the country. Opportunity zones.
Stop. Oh my God. First of all, let's be real clear. Timmy, long before your ass got you in the United States Senate, black folks were fighting on behalf of sickle cell anemia. Long before. I was a kid in Houston growing up when they had the National Sickle Cell Anemia Telethon and was going door to door actually collecting money. The Congressional Black Caucus has been fighting on behalf of sickle cell anemia long before you decided to show up to the United States Senate. Just stop lying. And then he goes, whoa, first under Trump. Yeah, guess what? The black unemployment went lower under President Biden and Vice President Harris. Lower, Timmy. Then he said, oh, opportunity zones. The greatest anti-poverty program, that is a flat-out, fundamental, undeniable lie. And guess what, y'all? In the last year of Trump's presidency, I personally emailed the White House saying, can you provide for me the data of the effects of these opportunity zones? I'm still waiting. And guess what? One of the black preachers who was at the White House from Baltimore touting the opportunity zones, we brought him on our show that night after he did the White House. He came back 6 months later and said, This ain't doing a damn thing. So I don't know who the hell Tim Scott think he's fooling, but there's no way in hell that the opportunity zones, which also ain't new. HUD Secretary Jack Kemp was touting the exact same thing. This is not new. All that is done is give tax breaks to developers. And I dare Senator Tim Scott to come on this show and bring with him the data to show me and prove me wrong how opportunity zones have been the biggest anti-poverty program in history. You can go on Fox News and lie, Tim, because Laura Ingraham ain't the brightest bulb in a dark room. She don't know jack about black people, so she's not gonna challenge you on any of this. What you said is a lie. Go ahead and play the rest of these lies.
How about just a good economy? That helps African Americans,
7 million
just like
new
the
jobs.
rest of us.
Guess what? He helped white people and black people and brown people. He liked everybody.
But they're going really personal on you. And I'm used to it because of what they've done to Justice Thomas, who's been my friend for 40 years.
Yes.
And it's so disgusting, it's so predictable, and it's so lame. They're out of ammunition, they're out of ideas, so it's you have to agree with them or you hear it, you're an Uncle Tom.
Absolutely.
That's what they say.
Listen, the most bigoted comments I hear today come from liberals. The racists that we should just turn our focus towards are teachers' unions who trap poor black kids in cities like Chicago out of their greatest future because they refuse to let them go to good schools. I can't imagine why the Democrats have not just said, dear people, I'm sorry, we resign, love DNC. Truly, that's the best thing they could do for the nation. And frankly, I'm looking forward to bringing this race for Donald Trump to be our next president to my home state of South Carolina so the race can be over and we can focus on firing
Was it uncomfortable
Joe Biden.
up there?
And guess who Tim Scott won't talk to? Black people. Ain't nobody black people watch Fox News. Ain't nobody black watching Laura Ingraham. And then, who the hell does she think she is? All the racist crap that we hear from her and numerous folks on Fox News. Can y'all please show me the clip of Laura Ingraham and Senator Tim Scott condemning Charlie Kirk for saying, oh, if there's a black pilot flying, I'm getting off because they probably got in through DEI. I'm sorry, that clip don't exist. They're not calling him out. See, here's my whole deal. And I can look at history. I got his book at home. If Bob Brown was on the show, Bob Brown could actually, and I know Greg got the book over there somewhere, Bob Brown could actually say what he did as basically the top African American under President Nixon for black folks. Oh, he could boom, 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 boom. Bob Brown wouldn't have to lie. He would not have to lie. But Senator Tim Scott he's literally, y'all, what he said is easily disproven. But when you're talking to a fool like Laura Ingraham, who ain't never ran into a fact she couldn't distort, it feeds the beast to say, see, the black senator, he said that Trump did all this stuff for black people. Y'all know he skipped saying, oh yeah, by the way, Donald Trump blamed and targeted black people. Did any of y'all hear Senator Tim Scott and Laura Ingraham condemn Trump targeting the two black women in Georgia, turning life upside down, the ones with the Subaru Giuliani? I ain't heard that. I ain't heard that. The same Senator Tim Scott, who I got on video going down to Selma for the field trip with Congressman John Lewis, but comes back to the Senate and opposes the John Lewis Act. Oh yeah, the same Senator Tim Scott who thwarted the George Floyd Justice Act. And then when I questioned him on how was it that he did the exact same thing, calling for the defund of police departments that would not pass certain rules and procedures, he stopped returning my text messages. Oh, he was real talkative before. But then when I hit him what was on his bill and what his deputy chief of staff said, all of a sudden, he stopped talking. What we see here, Reese, is the BS. And what Senator Tim Scott doesn't like, he doesn't like being called out on facts. I'll say it again, Senator Tim Scott, because you've been running from black-owned media. You won't come talk to us. Oh, you run to Fox News. You run to Margaret Brennan over at Face the Nation. Oh, you run over to Meet the Press. But you're not going to come talk to black-owned media because you know what's going to happen. I'm going to say, go to my iPad. And I'm going to sit here while you sit right here and lay out the facts and then force you to defend the lie. And that's what's so galling, Senator Tim Scott. And I had you on the show before. We had cordial conversations. When you challenged me to have a discussion, a whole show dedicated to education, I said, when you want to do it? Y'all, it was so funny. His staff thought I was joking. Oh, well, they said, well, Senator, he just threw it out there. I said, no, he didn't think I was going to accept. I made him come back for a whole hour discussion on public education. See, Senator Tim Scott can't do that stuff with me, not when I'm the founder of School Choice as the Black Choice. See, I understand charter schools. I understand school choice. I also understand fraudulent scam programs like the voucher bill in Texas, like the one in Tennessee. See, it's a little hard to have that conversation with me when your brother and your sister and your other sister have been teachers. See, it's a little hard to do that because you can't throw that little teacher's union crap out to me and think I'm gonna bite on it. Nah, it don't work. But Senator Tim Scott, don't lie. What you said about HBCUs and Trump is a flat out, bald-faced, undeniable, easily proven lie. And you know it. And the fact that you will go on Fox News and knowingly lie tells me you ain't no different than the man you stood up there and said, I love you. I love you, Donald. Reese?
Well, I think that obviously Tim Scott, like all Republicans, don't traffic in the truth. They traffic in whatever narrative they think is going to win them that conversation. I think Tim Scott is feeling a little bit of heat and maybe a little bit embarrassed for the way he debased himself multiple times now with this buffoonish minstrel-like performance that he puts on to show his fealty to Donald Trump. I mean, the eyes bulging, appropriating Fannie Lou Hamer. It's disgraceful and it's embarrassing. And he's going to piss a lot of black people off being a buffoon for Trump. I mean, have some damn dignity, sir. You are a freaking U.S. senator and you're sitting up there acting like the male version of Diamond and Silk to try to get on that VP ticket. But I think that he is groveling all for naught because Donald Trump already said, you stabbed Nikki Haley in the back, even though she gave you the U.S. Senate seat. And he is not going to put somebody that he thinks is disloyal as his number two, like he felt about Mike Pence. And so all of this is just really a really embarrassing audition. And he's hurting his credibility. He used to be somebody that people at least somewhat considered more of a reasonable Republican. But this turn that he's taken, which is always his truth, willing to shill for the Republican Party and for white supremacy, it's beneath him. And that takes a lot for me to say because I already think very lowly of Republicans generally. But this, even for you, is beneath you, Tim Scott. Man up.
Lauren?
Yeah, I mean, he perfected three stereotypes in one moment. It's actually pretty impressive. He did the magical Negro. He did the special black friend. I mean, Harriet Beecher Stowe would be very proud of the performance by Tim Scott in this last week. And the lack of self-awareness there is pretty amazing. I actually think that he does have, in fact, a complete lack of self-awareness. And, you know, as somebody who's met him and talked to him a few times, he seems like a perfectly nice guy. But I cannot imagine that somebody from his office did not call him or somebody from his family did not call him after that. What we saw last week, because it was pretty stunning not to realize what you look like in front of the nation to somebody who has said that, who has attacked your colleagues like Maxine Waters and certainly several other black members of Congress, has referred to Baltimore as an S-hole and African countries as an S-hole, and then said that Mexicans were murderers and rapists. I mean, this is the person that Tim Scott wants to be vice president to. This is the person that he looked at and said that he loved. I mean, it is incredibly embarrassing on a level that is beyond minstrelsy. The idea that as Reese just said, a U.S. senator would just embarrass himself like this is even beyond what we're typically used to when we see people kissing Donald Trump's ass right in front of everybody. But I think it's particularly embarrassing when we consider who Donald Trump is. You know, if this was George W. or George H.W. or Ronald Reagan, yeah, it would be terrible. But Donald Trump, really, Tim Scott, this is who you want to be the vice president to. Now, I would like to think that he's got some Machiavellian plan in his head that maybe Trump is going to be thrown out of office should he be elected again, or that he could possibly become president should he be his vice president. But I actually don't think Tim Scott's that deep of a thinker. I just think that he's just some dude from South Carolina. But man, that was unbelievably embarrassing what we saw this week.
Greg.
That was a beautiful, not even a takedown, because you didn't do it. It wasn't mean-spirited, Lauren. That was just beautiful. Yeah, I can see that on C-SPAN instead of R-SC for Senator Scott when he speaks. Tim Scott, paren, just some dude from South Carolina, close paren. Because I think that frames it perfectly. I mean, Tim Scott is an incredible blend, an alloy of political ambition and complete and utter, what did the brother at Dartmouth, Judge Charlotte, say the other day? Naked self-abasement. Booker T. Washington had an excuse. Booker T. Washington had an excuse. He had felt the lash. He came out of slavery. And Booker T. Washington never abased himself personally. He kikied for the money from the white folk, from the Carnegies and the Baldwins and the railroad people, and he used it for Tuskegee and to run his Tuskegee machine, and ultimately improved the lives of a number of black people and pissed off people like Monroe Trotter and Ida Wells and W.B. Du Bois. But there was a political thing, and there was an excuse. You came out of slavery. Tim Scott didn't come out of slavery. He comes out of humble beginnings, but this is a man who exhibits all of the deep self-hatreds that mark the psychological wounds of African people in the contemporary era. You combine that with his naked political ambition. I mean, as we say, we can talk to Cory Booker about that bill in 2021 where they work together, and Scott tells him, hey man, if you can get the FOP on board and these police chiefs, or get a couple of police back, we'll do that. And then Cory Booker gets the Fraternal Order of Police and the IAC of Ps, the International Chiefs of Police, to sign on to this reform legislation that still didn't have qualified immunity on it. What does Tim Scott do? He leaks the damn draft of the bill to the Sheriff's Association to give him cover to tank it. Why? Because he think one day he's going to be president. This fool, this handmaiden, this fool. And so finally, Al Sharpton was right today to say he's humiliating. The man is humiliating himself. And when you talk about that level of naked self-abasement, standing out with your loafers on the beach at Kiowa Island and the Sea Islands, on one knee, trying to somehow convince people that you're somebody you're not, all thinking that somehow that's going to make them pick you. As these young people would say, he's not being extra, he's doing the most at this point. I don't know how you look himself in the mirror.
Real simple. If you lie, I'm going to call you out on it. And Senator Tim Scott, you flat out lied. You lied when you went on Fox News. Pure and simple. Now again, chair is open. I got one chair. I got a chair right here. Got a chair right here. We could sit in the comfortable living room sat over there on one of the couches. But you want to talk about black people, Tim Scott? Come talk to black people. Don't be scared of your people. Because trust me, Laura Ingraham, she ain't one of your people. Go ask those black employees at Fox News who filed a racial discrimination lawsuit. Oh, yeah. We covered that too.